All right, good evening. Welcome to Primetime Judiciary. It's Tuesday, March 11th. Closing in on, oh boy, little after 7:30, so that's not too bad. We have a number of issues to address tonight. First of all, the Speaker's office. I'm starting at the back. House Bill 1197. This bill relates to the salary for the Sheriff of Frederick County, the Environment and Taxation Bill, or the Environment and Transportation Committee deals with sheriff's bills and their salaries, as I understand it, or at least I'm being told by the Speaker's office that that is their jurisdiction. And so I'm asking for a motion to recommit House Bill 1197 to the Environment and Transportation Committee. It's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, raise your hands. Anybody opposed? One. All right, so the motion's adopted and the bill is sent to the Environment and Transportation Committee. Yes, sir. You actually need a vote? Okay, well, I need my little sheet. Thanks very much. All right, so let's try this again. House Bill 1197. The motion is to recommit to E&T. All right, and the Vice Chair. Phillips, Delegate Phillips.
I'm confused. I know we have dealt with sheriff's salaries in the past. Is this a new, something new?
The Chair of Rules, who sits on the Environment and Transportation Committee, points out that they have quite a few sheriff's bills that they deal with. And so this would be one of the bills. It's not clear why it landed here when they have the majority of the other bills.
Okay.
So it's, I don't know. Talk to the Speaker's office if you'd like, but at this point, they have the jurisdiction, so we're giving it to them.
Okay.
All right, the Vice Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Valentine.
Yes.
Yes, Crutchfield. Not here yet. Carden.
Healthy and safe and far away from us, yes.
Yes. Tomlinson. Yes. Embry. Yes. Pasteur. Yes. Tolles. Yes. Schmidt. Yes. Simmons. Yes. Boucher. No. Phillips. Yes. Stinnett. Yes. Congolo. Yes. Erican. Yes. Taylor. Yes. Simpson. Yes. Grammer. Yes. Sample Hughes. Yes. Boone. Yes. Conaway. Yes. Kaufman.
Yes.
Yes. Williams.
Yes.
Yes. All right. The vote is to recommit. So that is recommitted to the E&T committee. Now, we had a bill related to lactation facilities in circuit courthouses, and this is House Bill 1440. There were a couple amendments, though, that were missed in that came from the bill hearing that we did not take up, that we meant to take up. And so I would refer you in your packet, at least I hope they're in your packet, first to 913426, which adds a definition of breastfeeding mother, which means a mother who is feeding her child breast milk either directly from her breast or by expressing and bottle feeding the child. We voted it out. So these are floor amendments, and I'm looking for yes.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on adding that amendment to 1440? Seeing none. All in favor of that amendment, I can do this. Raise your hands. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, that amendment is adopted. We'll make it a floor amendment, friendly floor amendment tomorrow. The next one is 243020. And what this is a data requirement. It requires the judiciary to collect data on how many people check the box to say that they're seeking to be excused under the bill. So they're seeking to be excused because they're breastfeeding or they're the primary caregiver for a child under 3. Motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, raise your hands. Anybody opposed? Okay, so those are done. Now, meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're going to hold on to 238 one more time. And we're going to take a look at that. Cardin's threatening violence. We're on House Bill 261. We're on the amendment on 261. And I think we've had plenty of conversation about this, so give 5 more seconds of discussion if you want, but here we are. I don't think anybody wants to discuss anymore, except for Grammer, who just lit up his thing.
I was just going to say, I still oppose the amendment. I think we should prioritize families and taking care of children over predators.
All right. Anybody else?
Can I just say that?
You want to say something? The Vice Chair.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so I will say, yes, we should definitely prioritize families and children, but keep in mind that some of this money is going to the state. So they fall under number 6, under child support back to the state.
All right. We're on the bill. We're on the amendment. All in favor of David Moon's amendment that would move the priority ranking for child support from number 6 to number 11, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everybody opposed, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, the amendment is defeated. We're on the bill. So, motion for a favorable and a second. Is there any further discussion on the bill as a favorable? Oh, Lord, I hope not, because my God. Okay, anyone else? Unless you'd like. Okay, motion's for a favorable. All right, the Vice Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Valentine.
Yes.
Yes, Crutchfield.
Yes.
Yes, Cardin.
Yes.
Yes, Tomlinson. Yes, Embry. Yes, Pasteur. Yes, Tolles. Yes, Schmidt. Yes, Simmons.
Yes, and add.
No, can't anymore. You killed that amendment. They killed the amendment. You can't add now. To be clear, Delegate Simmons didn't, but everyone else did. All right. Boucher. Yes. Phillips. Yes. Stinnett. Yes. Congolo. Yes. Erican. Yes. Taylor. Yes. Simpson. Yes. Grammer. Yes. Sample Hughes. Yes. Moon. Yes. Conaway. Yes. Kaufman. Yes. Williams. Yes. Our long national nightmare is over. One moment, please. I'm going to skip over 1123 for one moment. Going to 748, but I think we also need to hold this bill as well because we're seeking to better define the kinds of enforcement officers who would be able to wear body-worn cameras.
Is it ready?
Yes.
Well, we have an amendment ready?
And Hunter sent it out.
Oh, well, then never mind. Then let's look at what people have done. And is this 413428?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
428.
Yes.
Yes. Is this Delegate Moon? Is this your amendment? All right, Delegate Moon, would you please tell people what the amendment does?
It clarifies that enforcement officer here is code enforcement, parking enforcement, and traffic enforcement. And it makes these policies adhere to the police standards and training, Police Training and Standards Commission guidelines on body cams.
All right, can I have a motion on the amendment? Is there a second? All right, we'll have discussion now. Delegate Conway, then Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Will these people be sworn officers, or they'll just have the training?
Delegate Moon.
I don't believe the code enforcement officers are necessarily sworn law enforcement officers, if that's what you mean.
That's what I mean. Thank you.
Delegate Eric.
Okay, so did this limit at all who is, like, what is a code enforcement officer? I'm looking in the amendment, I'm not seeing, what is that? What does that mean?
Delegate Moon.
It's anticipating housing code enforcement.
So, yeah, I mean, I think my concern is still the same as Delegate Conway referenced. Like, I just don't know. We in this group have really protected two-party recording, and we have made very, very, very tiny carve-outs for what we as a group think is appropriate. This is a massive expansion that I did not understand when I heard the bill was going to occur. To include people that are not sworn officers makes me very uncomfortable. I think this is a much broader policy question that traditionally our committee has been wary to weigh into to such an extent. So as much as I understand the problem that he was trying to address, I cannot vote green on a bill that's going to chop up even more our two-party consent laws. I don't feel good about it.
Delegate Moon.
So it's a fair question. I mean, I think this is the policy question that's being called out in the bill. At the introduction, it was specifically, I believe, about code enforcement, and so that was the request. And so we attempted to tailor the amendment to what the sponsor is intending to do. Many of us have been pushing for various alterations to the two-party consent law, so I'm not particularly bothered by the one contemplated here. And I'll say, as to parking, traffic, and code enforcement, I think part of the concern is these are folks that have also come in trying to get felonies for when they're assaulted and things like that, because they're taking often an adverse action against someone, and so they're at risk of that kind of retaliation. And so this is intended to protect these folks for when one of these incidents occurs. But I
hear that.
understand the policy question, and
Yeah.
you're correct that that's what it's asking.
Okay, I think when I heard it and I was imagining in my head, like the gentleman that worked for our liquor board was a police officer, but he was retired, so I think I just had an image in my head of something, and I did not realize that the people that do traffic enforcement were not sworn officers also. So I think in my brain, I just thought, this is in line with what we already do. So, but I do see your point. Yeah, people do get very angry when they're fined. I still just don't feel great about it.
I actually really like the amendment, just to kind of piggyback on what Delegate Moon stated. We do have traffic enforcement officers that get assaulted. It makes me think of, there used to be a show called Traffic Wars, if anyone used to watch that. Very interesting. But you would see all types of traffic officers involved in all types of scenarios where I'm sure if they were to be afforded the ability to have this body camera footage, it would be helpful in certain situations. And so I think it strikes a good balance. And so for those reasons, I'm in support of the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to make sure I've got the amendment straight, and I was having trouble getting to my computer. But so this is just saying that if a municipality adopts an ordinance or resolution, it's got to be developed or match or whatever, a policy. My thing is all screwed up here. I don't know what I'm looking at. But it's not, you're not saying it's got to be more training. You're saying it's got to match what is already existing with the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission. So it's not adding an additional element of training. It's just saying it's got to The ordinance has to match whatever the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission has.
That is correct, and certainly it contemplates training for people who are doing this. I mean, you know, we don't necessarily need to say that in the law, but it certainly is contemplating that they'll be trained on these new procedures. One thing I also just want to point out here, again, because of the assault issue, while it might be tempting to limit this to sworn officers, the sworn officers are the ones with arrest powers and carrying firearms. And so in a sense, they're sort of self-protected when they're encountering people out in the world. The people who are doing traffic enforcement and parking enforcement do not typically carry firearms and are unable to self-protect themselves in this way. And so the last backstop is just having a camera to witness when they're being assaulted. So I just, you know, so I think it's actually helpful, sorry, because you guys were folks asking about whether they're sworn officers. But I'm just suggesting the fact of them not being sworn officers makes them more vulnerable to assault without evidence.
Gotcha, thanks.
I just wanted to say one thing for clarity. These items 1 through 17 that are stricken out by the amendment, those exact same items are already in section 3511 of the public safety article. So they're just stricken out so as not to be redundant because we've put the reference, the cross-reference in.
To the maker of the amendment, is it possible that a housing code enforcer could enter into a dwelling or on private property?
Yes, but again, if you refer to the rules that the Police Standards and Training Commission is contemplating, the departments do have to have a policy for when you turn it on, when you turn it off. And again, in the police world, those include things like privacy, you know, respecting people's privacy, not capturing footage in places where it would be inappropriate and the like. So these are things that are contemplated already in police body cam policy that, again, these municipalities would also have to contemplate similar policies.
But it's possible that they could record
yes.
inside the dwelling, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you explain what the amendment does one more time?
Sure. It clarifies that the enforcement officers that are granted the possibility, if a municipality so chooses, to equip them with body cams, that those enforcement officers are specifically, we didn't want to just say enforcement officers, that's pretty vague. So we said specifically it's about code enforcement, parking, and traffic.
Okay, and this would be the first time we would do this for any municipality?
Well, we did, so we have authorization for the law enforcement
Right.
in municipalities.
Okay, but for outside of a law enforcement capacity?
That is correct.
And we don't actually have any exceptions to the wiretap, is that correct? So, because I'm engaged in the wiretap battle, I have a bill. There are no current exceptions.
No. The police are exceptions.
Well,
This adds to the police.
Okay. And I'm just thinking, like, with law enforcement, the idea is that these people have deadly use of force, and this is to cover those situations and hold them accountable. This is kind of these are people, like you said, issuing adverse actions, not necessarily, they have a different kind of role. They're going into people's property. It's a little bit different scenario. Okay, thank you.
Delegate Valentine, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd just like to thank the maker of the amendment who did scale this down. The original wording was an ordinance or resolution authorizing an official who is authorized. Very, very broad. So we did get it down to simply for code enforcement, parking enforcement, and traffic enforcement, and all of those interactions that these individuals do have in these municipalities. Parking can be a very contentious interaction with the public. Traffic is always very contentious, or can be very contentious. Code, I was a little concerned about simply because of going into houses. I understand the outside, you know, I know code enforcement, but that does leave me a little bit leery, but everything else is, I appreciate how it was drawn up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to verify, this is enabling legislation, right? Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing Delegate Erican, then
Yeah,
we'll call a
sorry. Okay. So the conversation brought up like more concerns. If this bill was only the parking, I would be completely for it because you really don't have an expectation of privacy on the street, okay? But going into people's private businesses, some of which could be in their actual homes, the code enforcement, I mean, I just want to make sure we understand that is a huge deviation, massively huge deviation from where we typically are with two-party consent. And so, I mean, I'm just looking, the people that are going to be the most affected by this are people that have overzealous code enforcement, which we went through a stage in my county where we had some of that going on. I don't know. They don't need probable cause. They don't have really any training on basic civil rights and things like that. I really think this is a big deviation from where we have been traditionally on two-party consent.
All right, he doesn't want to respond. All right, so here we are on the amendment, and it was moved and seconded. We had discussion. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Anybody opposed? 19 to nothing. All right, thank you. We are now on the bill as amended.
Oh, Conway's opposed.
Matt Conway is a no on the amendment. Okay, 2 no's on the amendment. Taylor? All right, 19 to 2. There's a motion for a favorable on the bill as amended. Is there a second? There is. Now we're on the bill as amended. Delegate Tolles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to comment that, and I apologize, I didn't notice this during the bill hearing or mention it, but I will be voting for it, but I would like the municipalities to pay attention to the additional cost for storing it, because I know during body-worn cameras discussion, particularly on the local level, when I served locally, when this bill was done by somebody on this committee, I can't remember who, but just kidding, Conway, just kidding. But in all seriousness, I do have a slight concern about the cost of storage for the body-worn cameras, because they will need to retain that footage in case they do need to have it for court. So while I will be voting for the bill, I just wanted to state for the record my concern for the storage and what that cost would mean for local governments. Thank you.
They'd have to decide whether they wanted to do it or not. And they'd have to, and that would be, I think, a big part of that, right? Delegate Grammer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 points I think I want to make here. First, I think it's a little bit more police statism that, frankly, I'm opposed to. If you pay attention to the testimony here today, these cameras are all aimed at the public, as opposed to when we talked about police body cams, that was aimed at really recording scenarios where the officer was engaging with the public. So I don't think we should especially give these weird capacity to really get in people's property, get in their houses, get in their cars. Second off, I like two-party consent. This will be the first exception that we're giving a two-party consent. And if we start doing this thing's just going to come off the rails, and you're going to have every weird exceptions, weird government agents having exceptions to two-party consent, which frankly I'm not big on, so I'll be a no today for personal privacy.
Any other comments or questions? Delegate Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To my colleague's point, I do want to point out that under the current rules, law enforcement notifies as soon as practical the individual that the individual is being recorded, unless it is unsafe, impractical, and impossible to do. That is giving me a little solace in suggesting that this is not completely a deviation from two-party consent because the person is being informed.
Leads me to a question. So you're acknowledge, can you say no? Can you say, please turn it off? If you come into my home, can you say, please turn it off?
I think it would depend on the policy that the local jurisdiction created, and that's what they would have to do consistent with what with the amendment that was done. They'd have to make that statement locally and say, okay, if the person said that they don't want to be recorded, then they can't be recorded.
Oh, and I voted no on that? I should have voted yes on that.
Well, talk to Delegate Moon. It's his, all right. Any other questions? Now, let me be clear. Did I state the point of the amendment? Yeah. All right, first time tonight. All right, anybody have any other questions or? All right, seeing none. The Vice Chair.
Yes, on the bill.
On the bill, yes. Valentine?
Yes.
Yes. Crutchfield?
Yes.
Yes. Cardin?
No.
No. Tomlinson? Yes. Embry?
Yes.
Yes. Pasteur? Yes. Tolles? Yes. Schmidt?
Yes.
Yes. Simmons?
Yes.
Yes. Boucher?
Yes.
Yes. Phillips?
Yes.
Yes. Stinnett? Yes. Congolo? Yes. Erican? No. Taylor? Yes. Simpson? Yes. Grammer? No. Sample Hughes? No. Moon? Yes. Conaway? No. Kaufman? Yes, and an add. Williams?
Yes.
Yes. The favorable motion is adopted. That is House Bill 748. All right. We're going now to 309. It has a questionable sponsor. Everyone agrees. It's Delegate Cardin's bill. Delegate Cardin, there are no amendments. There's a motion for favorable. Is there a second? All right. Delegate Cardin, why don't you tell the group what the bill does, please?
This is a bill that was brought by the FOP to allow for peer-to-peer consulting and allow those conversations with their certified social workers to be confidential so they can actually talk out some of their problems. It's already passed the Senate, by the way.
Questions?
And there was no opposition.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further questions, the Vice Chair?
Yes.
Yes. Valentine?
Yes.
Yes. Crutchfield?
Yes.
Yes. Cardin?
Yes.
Yes. Tomlinson? Yes. Embry? Yes. Pasteur? Yes. Tolles? Tolles? Yes. Schmidt? Yes. Simmons? Yes. Boucher? Yes. Phillips? Yes. Stinnett? Yes. Congolo? Yes. Erican? Yes. Taylor? Yes. Simpson? Yes. Grammer? Yes. Sample Hughes? Yes. Moon? Yes. Conaway? Yes. Kaufman? Yes. Williams?
Yes.
All right. Despite the questionable sponsor, apparently it passed favorable. We now are at a Prince George's delegation bill. There's an amendment that you should have in your packet. It is a relatively simple amendment, so let's see how devastating it is. 803324. Delegate Williams, you want to talk about what the amendment does, please?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment simply adds 2 representatives of nonprofit organizations within Prince George's County to the bill, and it extends it out to 2027 it removes 2026 and substitutes it for 2027.
There's a motion for the amendment. Is there a second? And a second. So just to be clear, this is adding to the review and response team that is established by the County Executive of Prince George's 2 representatives of not-for-profit organizations. So kind of expanding that group and lengthens the time that it exists. Any questions about the amendment? Seeing none. All in favor of the amendment, raise your hands. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the amendment is adopted. We're on the bill as amended. There's a motion for a favorable and a second. Any further questions or comments about the bill? Seeing none, the vice chair.
Yes.
Yes, Valentine.
Yes.
Yes, Crutchfield. Yes, Cardin. Yes, Tomlinson. Yes, Embry. Yes, Pasteur. Yes, Tolles. Yes, Schmidt. Yes, Simmons. Yes, Boucher. Yes, Phillips. Yes, Stinnett. Yes. Yes, and an add? It's a little unusual because it's a Prince George's County delegation bill. Well, okay, there's a little Baltimore City, Prince George's County solidarity going on right now. Congolo? Yes. Erican? Yes. Taylor? Yes. Simpson? Yes. Grammer? Yes. Sample Hughes? Yes. Moon? Yes. Conaway? Yes. Kaufman? Yes. Williams? All right. Great. Moving. Yes, I'm allowing the add on it. It will be, in the legislative history, people will be extremely confused, and that's fine. That's fine. House, right, House Bill 413. It's a motion, is there an amendment at all? No. There's, well, you're not going to take the amendment? Or you're not pressing your amendment? He's asking for the bill to be clean. It's asking for the bill as it was introduced. We've passed this bill in the past. It's a motion for a favorable and a second. On the bill, is there discussion? All right, seeing none, the vice chair.
Yes.
Yes. Valentine? No. Crutchfield? Yes. Cardin? Yes. Tomlinson? No. Embry? Yes. Pasteur? Yes. Please do not choke. Tolles? Yep. Schmidt? Yes. Simmons? Yes. Boucher? No. Phillips? Yes. Stinnett? Yes. Congolo? No. Erican? No. Taylor? Yes. Simpson? Yes. Grammer? No. Sample Hughes? No. Moon? Yes. Conaway? No. Kaufman? Yes. Williams? Yes. All right, the motion for a favorable report is adopted, and that is House Bill 413. Now, House Bill 681. Oh my, what a ride this has been. Is there amendment? There are no amendments? Just making sure. Is there a motion? There's a motion for a favorable and a second. All right. Does anyone not know what this bill does at this point? This is the. Are we sure there's no explanation necessary, or so this would say 250% of poverty unless their license could not be suspended. Am I right in saying that? Automatically. All right. Is there anything else, Madam Subcommittee Chair? Any other questions? Okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
The Vice Chair.
Yes.
Yes. Valentine.
Yes.
Yes. Crutchfield. Yes. Cardin. Yes. Tomlinson. Yes. Embry. Yes. Pasteur. Yes. Tolles. Oh, you had to think a second? Yes. Schmidt. Yes. Simmons. Yes. Boucher. Yes. Phillips. Yes. Stinnett. Yes. Congolo. Yes. Erican. No. Taylor. Yes. Simpson. Yes. Grammer. No. Sample Hughes? Yes. Moon? Yes. Moon is yes. Conaway? Yes. Kaufman? Yes. Yes. Williams? Yes. All right. Off that goes. House Bill 877.
877.
Delegate Moon.
Second.
Is there a motion for a favorable? Yes, and a second.
Do I
All
need,
right, so
do I
it's-
need to explain anything further?
I don't think you need to explain anything further. We're not adopting any amendments to the bill, correct? Correct. It's a sunset extension bill. Anybody opposed to a nice sunset? I'm looking forward to, All right, House Bill 877. All right, good times. Any questions on the bill? Any questions on the bill? Seeing none, the Vice Chair?
Yes.
Yes. Valentine? Yes. Crutchfield? Yes. Cardin? Yes. Tomlinson? Yes. Embry? Yes. Pasteur? Yes. Tolles? Yes. Schmidt? Yes. Simmons? Yes. Boucher? Yes. Phillips? Yes. Danette? Yes. Congolo? Yes. Erican? No. Taylor? Yes. Simpson? Yes. Grammer? Yes. Sample Hughes? Yes. Moon? Yes. Conaway? Yes. Kaufman? Yes. Williams? Okay, that motion's adopted. We're gonna hold, we're holding 579, and we'll take that up in a little bit, but now we're on House Bill 1123. All right, so the Senate, you are gonna have an amendment in your packet that makes adjustments to the amendment that we adopted that reflected changes that the Senate made. That JPR made in the medical parole side of House Bill 1123. So we did pass an amendment last night that my understanding was the changes that JPR made reflecting in the medical side. JPR reached out again and said, we made some other changes. Here are these other changes, apparently with the state's attorneys, and got some agreement with that. So the bill that the amendment, I think, is 423821. And so what we're doing is we're again amending the amendment to reflect the change that JPR made. What they did, it's a couple of tweaks, and they are on page 5 of 8. It says in the upper corner, 5 of 8. And it says that a chronically debilitated or incapacitated means having a diagnosable medical condition that is unlikely to improve in the future and substantially diminishes the ability of the individual to provide self-care. It says a chronically debilitated or incapacitated includes conditions such as dementia or a severe permanent medical or cognitive disability if the condition substantially diminishes the ability of the individual to provide self-care. And then towards the bottom of the page, it says that in connection with the incarcerated individual can be released on medical parole at any time during their term without regard to eligibility standards if a licensed professional has determined the incarcerated individual is chronically debilitated or incapacitated, suffers from a terminal illness, and either, 1, requires extended medical management with health care needs that would be better met by community services, and has been rendered medically incapable of presenting a danger to society by a physical or mental health condition, disease, or syndrome, or is no longer a danger to public safety. So they made those changes, specifically adding no longer a danger as an option, no longer as a danger to public safety at the bottom part, and they kind of refined the definition of chronically debilitated or incapacitated person. So I'm going to ask, I've got a motion to accept the amendment in a second. We'll go down and discussion again on this amendment. Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you, Chair. Does that narrow the amount of people that makes it available for?
I believe it actually, if I could see that one more time, I don't know that it narrows it. I don't think it expands it. So maybe it narrows it not by not expanding it, but I think it makes it clearer what the point of that part of the bill is they cannot care for themselves. They can't care for themselves, and thus they're no longer a threat to public safety. And I think I've got that right, but let's ask the vice chair and see if I'm somewhere in the ballpark.
I believe you're correct, Mr. Chair. And so just to further answer your question, the terms chronically debilitated or incapacitated were in the bill originally, but they were not defined. So this actually defines what we mean by chronically debilitated or incapacitated.
And those are defined in statute or by doctor?
They're defined in the amendment that would be included in the statute, yes.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Delegate Graham.
Wanted to inquire about the no longer threat to public safety.
So it adds to the language, basically, that the doctor would have to say that they're physically incapable of presenting a danger to society by a physical or mental health condition, disease, or syndrome, or is no longer a danger to public safety. They would be opining that they would be no longer a threat based on the observations. And again, you have to get through the first part of that first two. So the doctor has to say they are chronically debilitated or incapacitated or suffering from a terminal illness. They have to get through that hurdle first. And then the second hurdle is the doctor saying they're literally physically incapable of doing anything, or they're just not a threat to public safety, which kind of loops back around to the chronically debilitated or incapacitated line.
Okay, thank you.
So compared to what this bill was like in, let's say, 2021 or 2020 before, there were not a lot of these belts and suspenders on it. And I think that this helps clarify what the doctors actually have to find and say, this is what we're looking for. And then also say, and we believe they have 6 months or less left to live. Delegate Schmidt.
Thank you, Chair. Do they still have to go in front of the parole board?
I'm sorry?
Do they have to go in front of the parole board at that point?
The vice chair.
Yes.
Vice chair says yes.
Yes. So if you see on page, I think I'm on page 1 of the bill at C23, C1. So the request for medical parole is filed with the Parole Commission, the Maryland Parole Commission. And it could be filed by any of these people on, either the incarcerated individual or any of these people seeking medical parole for someone. And just with respect to Delegate Grammer's question, it is at best interest of public safety standard. So it's not just arbitrarily, you don't look like a threat, so you must be good.
So the part of the medical parole, the sort of main issue here is whether the governor should be part of that process. And so what medical parole is it's not just they're going through the parole process and going through the parole board, but as we've been discussing, they have this entire other side of it. They have the medical side where they have to show that they've got the debilitating disease and they have this long to live. Right now, the governor is still ensconced in that process and still has to sign off on that. Our argument is he's not signing off on that in regular parole anymore because we changed that a few years ago. This is actually more involved of a process, and so less of a reason to have the governor involved in the process.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Cardin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I love the amendment. The amendment actually, it sounds like it was the the state's attorneys and the OPD got together, they all agreed on this language, which is great. That part. I'm going to maybe open up a slight can of worms, but the geriatric parole part, you did not put in the language that the MSAA.
No, so the difference is so we have what's being called elder parole. They have a more substantive geriatric parole on their side, and so we're sending this part over. The second part of the bill is what we're calling elder parole, and this sets aside $1 million, or seeks to set aside $1 million for case evaluators to look at the backlog, starting with the people who are 60 and over and who have served more than 20 years in jail.
Right.
We found out that the number of people who are receiving case evaluations, it's the vast majority of the relatively small number of people that they would start to look at. About 65 people, and I think 55 of them are people who already get case evaluations, so there'd be another 10 now that would as well. The idea is we have one person doing case evaluation right now. This would hopefully hire another 2 so that we could address a backlog in the overall system, starting with those oldest inmates, and then they can start working their way down.
Great, and that's great, and I love what we're doing, what we're trying to do. I'll just state for the record that it looked like MSAA would be okay if it was changed from 60 to 65. That's the only thing there. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that we should, I'm not offering the amendment. I'm just telling you that that's where they would be.
I understand that. I guess my argument is going to be, we're dealing with a universe of people that it's about 55 that they're going to focus on first. They have to hire these people. They have to get them in place. I think 55 seems a substantive enough universe at least to begin, and then they can go through the remaining people who are on a waiting list that are, over 1,000.
Just wanted to make sure that everybody knew.
No, thank you very much.
I'm going to support the amendment and the bill.
All right, Delegate Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there are 55 who qualify for the medical parole piece.
No. 2 sides to the house. There's the medical side where you can be at any point during your incarceration if you meet the requirements, go through the doctor and the parole commission, then you can get medical parole. On the other side of the bill, it finds money for case evaluators, and it focuses on 60 and older who have served 20 years in jail or more.
So the 60 and older piece is no longer in this bill, it's in another one.
I'm sorry?
The 60 and older is no longer a part of 1123, or?
It is part of 1123
part
in
of
the
11
elder parole section, yes.
Okay.
But not 2 parts to it. Medical parole is a universal part. This part regarding elder parole is specific to that universe. They would target that universe first.
Thank you.
On the amendment, which was moved and seconded, all in favor of the amendment, please raise your hands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Anybody opposed to the amendment? 17 to nothing, the amendment is adopted. We're on the bill as amended. There's a motion for a favorable and a second. We're on the bill as amended. The Delegate Valentine.
I had one question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one question on page 5, about halfway down. What by definition is a licensed medical professional? How is that defined? I couldn't find it anywhere.
I believe that that's a term within the Health General article.
Yeah, that's what
Trying to determine who all that incorporates. That's what I'm trying to determine.
I don't have my computer on. Court's indulgence would get you an answer to that question. But I believe it's in the Health and Government Operations, or the Health and Government Operations, the Health article. I'm looking for the precise statutes. I think it's in Title 14 of, so there's licensed physician.
In section G.
You found it.
Oh, no. I found.
Oh, you found it on the federal level.
Yeah, I thought, I saw it. a minute ago.
I'm
It's in the
fairly
federal
sure that we have, wow. Claire is looking right now as well. We okay? Hunter, please do not tackle delegates.
Motion to change my vote?
Licensed medical professional. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Is it
great.
18?
A licensed physician, according to Title 14 of the health article, means, unless the context requires otherwise, a physician, including a doctor of osteopathy, who is licensed by the board to practice medicine.
So it doesn't include RNs and physicians?
Doesn't include an RN,
other-
but that is the definition of a licensed physician. And I believe it is certainly the intent that they have to go in front of a licensed physician. If we need to make that clear, we can do that.
Here, 1431, 14312.1.
Say it again.
This is under medical liability. But it's, it
Uses the term?
licensed professional.
Okay.
What does it say?
What does it say?
What does it say, delegate reference?
No, I was just looking, I just tried to search for it to see if I could. That's not.
I believe the intent, to be clear, is that it would be a licensed physician that would be doing it. And there is, licensed physician is defined in the health article.
Okay.
And while I don't like doing that, I think that this is a valid point. I think that we need to make sure that that is in the,
Because it's
that is
making these
clear.
determinations.
Change it to a licensed.
A licensed physician
As defined in, do you want to say as defined in?
in the health general article.
Well, keep in mind,
Vice Chair.
okay, the medical professional can file, right? But is there a section where the medical professional is making the determination?
That's what it says.
Are they making the
Has
determination?
determined that the incarcerated individual
Okay.
as follows. That's why it kind of drew my attention.
So the only people, I guess, who would be eligible to make those determinations would be a physician.
This be a physician. I believe that licensed medical professional, that we should be clear in saying, I believe that we should be clear in saying that that means a doctor, a physician,
Making these determinations.
but not a nurse practitioner or something along those lines.
Do you want to say if a licensed physician is defined?
Yes, in 14-101 of the Health General,
That's what I was,
Health Occupations.
I was just wondering what the definition of this was.
All right, so we're doing this a little on the fly, which I'm not always keen on, but I think it's an important point before we go forward. But we've had this bill we're kind of late in session here, so we'll fudge it a little, the process. So this would be, we would add And everywhere in the bill that refers to a licensed medical professional would need to say a licensed physician.
It's just one place.
I think it's just the one place,
Well, it's two.
two places.
Yeah, it's in the beginning on who can file.
Push your button.
I'm sorry. All right, oops, sorry. So I thought it was in the beginning on who can file on behalf of the, is that still in there? I don't think we took that out. Or did we?
What page?
Which
It was
page?
in the, here we are, it's on, page, I don't know.
It's a blank page.
So it's behind 5 of 8, so it must be 6, maybe?
Well, it's 5.5.
Yeah, 1.
It's the Harry Potter of legislation.
It's under sections, E. I think it's E1.
This would be
Let me just,
7309 of the correctional.
That's
Yeah.
current law.
I know, and I thought that was the amendment, because it is current law.
That's why it says it here.
I know, so I'm saying, if we're gonna make the amendment, are we gonna be consistent? Can we?
Should we just change current law like that on the fly?
Probably not.
I mean, that's just something the parole commission would have to take into consideration. This is a,
Yeah, that's what
whatever type of medical professional.
No, that's a good question. I just don't know.
Excuse me, could I have the correctional services article, please?
Oh, do I have it?
I have it. Change this.
Sorry, I have it.
I don't think we should change this on the fly.
No, I don't think we should either.
Because it could be a nurse practitioner. I mean, they're very, very
They are
skilled
specific.
and qualified. Could be a physician assistant.
I ordered the same ones I always order.
Yeah, I'm thinking, how long do you research?
All right. Court's indulgence. I think it should be defined too. All right, so we need to define this, and I'm a little, going to get more information to make sure that we're doing this right. We're going to take this up, I know there are subcommittee hearings tomorrow in between sessions. Can we very quickly go through which subcommittees are meeting when? Just so that I have a sense. You're meeting at?
Civil's meeting at 3, and I don't think anything's meeting before that.
Public safety's meeting at 2.
Public safety at 2, you're at 3. Anybody meeting at 1? Anybody? Families at 1? All right. Anybody meeting at 4? All right. Yeah, well, we're going to come back here tomorrow at 4, and we'll, if we have time in between the first session and the first subcommittee meeting, then we'll come back and address an amendment that deals with licensed medical professional. But beyond that, we'll just have to see whether that's at either 12 or 4 at this point. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Chair?
That's fine, yes. So explain what you just did.
The mail theft, we already worked out what to do with mail theft. We just need to put it onto a bill.
All right.
So we just need to do a quick vote on that.
So the criminal law subcommittee is going to be meeting right after session tomorrow. And then we will come in for a voting session right after that. So you should just all plan to be nearby. So as soon as that's done, we'll go into a full voting session to deal with this issue. Then we will have the other two subcommittees that are meeting. Yeah, well, we don't know exactly when, because at this point, it depends on when we're done on the floor is going to be the bigger question. The vice chair. The vice chair?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out, we had an amendment request from the Judiciary on House Bill 788 to possibly make it a floor amendment because we voted it out, and the problem is that not everyone on the Judicial Disabilities Commission is an attorney. So we said, no, they're not all judges. So we said that you had to be in good standing under the bar. So the Judiciary asked for us to make that clarification. And so instead, it says, and everybody got the amendment, it just says that, here it is. I'll tell you real quick. It says that the person, if they are an attorney, is in good standing. I'm trying to get there. Yeah. If they're a judge or an attorney, yeah. So they must be a member of the Maryland Bar in good standing if the member is a judge or an attorney. And that way, we don't make everybody go to law school. Although that would have been fun.
Does anyone have any questions about what would be a floor amendment? This is 133529. Delegate Embry is pressing her button.
I was asking about HB 579. I didn't know if we were intentionally holding off.
We're holding off on it tonight, yes. I'm sorry, so we are going to take a vote, a hand vote on 133529, which is an amendment to the bill on the Commission on Judicial Disabilities, which we passed out yesterday, to clarify that only people who are judges or lawyers need to be in good standing. If they're a member of the public, they don't have to be in good standing with the bar because they're not a member of the bar. Any further discussion? Is there a motion? There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Delegate Kaufman? Oh, it's just preparing. All in favor, raise your hands. Anybody opposed? All right, so we're on, so that will be offered as a floor amendment tomorrow. So again, just pay attention to the floor. We're going to get that. We need to define that word, and we will do that tomorrow. This has been the House Judiciary Committee. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
So there's pizza in the back room.
I'm sorry.
Lots of it.
Why are they obscening something?